Attention passionate Philadelphia, EAGLES. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Philadelphia Eagles' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Philadelphia Eagles fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Philadelphia, EAGLESFANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. It's time to talk about some moves that might seem small on the surface, but actually carry a lot of weight for the Eagles as they gear up for what promises to be an intense season. The Philadelphia Eagles, as we all know, have been building a team with a clear goal in mind: contending for another Super Bowl. And to keep that momentum going, they're not hesitating to make strategic roster adjustments, especially early in the season. Just recently, the Eagles announced that they've signed defensive lineman Jacob Sykes to their practice squad. Now, if you've been following the team closely, you'll recognize his name from training camp. Sykes, who is an undrafted free agent from UCLA, really made an impression during preseason. He showed hustle, determination, and a real knack for disrupting the offensive line, which is exactly what the Eagles need from their defensive front. Despite his solid preseason performance, Sykes found himself on the waiver wire after final cuts, a tough break for a guy who clearly put in the work. But as many Eagles fans know, Howie Roseman is always shuffling the deck, always looking for that extra edge and bringing players back in different ways. So here we are, Sykes rejoining the team's practice squad, a move that might seem minor but could have significant implications down the line. Remember, he's only 2023's undrafted free agent out of UCLA, and he initially signed with the Seattle Seahawks before being released at the end of training camp. But that's not the end of his story. Sykes then signed with the San Antonio Brahmas of the United Football League, spending 2 seasons there and racking up some solid stats: 32 tackles and 5 sacks in 17 regular season games. That kind of experience, especially coming from a league that is often overlooked, can be a real asset for someone looking to prove themselves at the NFL level. After his stint in the UFL, Sykes got another shot with the Eagles, and he took full advantage of it. He appeared in all 3 preseason games, registered 2 tackles, and earned a respectable PFF grade of 76.3, 71.9, and 41.2 across those games. Sure, the grades vary, but the effort and ability to adapt are what stand out. And now, with his return to the Eagles' practice squad, it's clear that the team sees potential in him, especially considering the current needs on their roster. But what makes this move even more interesting is that Sykes is reuniting with Clint Hurt, the Eagles' defensive coordinator, who was also his defensive coordinator back when Hurt was with the Seahawks. This kind of familiarity can be a game changer, giving Sykes a better shot at making an impact when called upon. Now, while this move might seem like a minor roster shuffle, it's important to understand the bigger picture. The Eagles' defensive line, for example, has been a mix of talented players and some injury concerns. The signing of Sykes could very well be a contingency plan, especially considering that the injury report for the team isn't out yet. The team might be addressing depth on the defensive line to ensure they're prepared for the rigors of the season, especially as they face tough NFC opponents week after week. The Eagles' front seven has been a strength, but injuries and fatigue can always change the dynamic quickly. So, bringing in a player like Sykes, who has shown flashes of potential, makes a lot of sense from a coaching and strategic perspective. But let's also talk a bit about the other side of the roster move. The Eagles released cornerback Eli Ricks, a young player out of Alabama who was part of the team's 2023 draft class. Ricks made the roster and played in all 17 games last season, showcasing some promise early on. However, his role diminished in 2024, and he only appeared in 7 games. The team's decision to release him signals that they're looking for more consistent or perhaps more versatile options in the secondary, especially with the addition of Jacorian Bennett, who has been making waves in training camp and preseason. Ricks is a talented player, no doubt, but with the NFL roster being so competitive, teams often have to make tough cuts, especially when they're trying to balance youth development with immediate needs. Ricks has been bouncing on and off the practice squad, which is quite common for young players trying to find their footing, but it also indicates that the team isn't giving up on him completely. They see potential, but perhaps they want him to develop further or show more consistency. It's worth noting that the Eagles currently roster 6 cornerbacks on their active roster and have 2 on the practice squad, which is a healthy depth chart for now. But with the possibility of injuries or strategic rotations, having versatile players ready to step in is crucial. That's likely why the team opted to make this roster change now, bringing in Seahawks for added depth on the defensive line rather than reinforcing the secondary at this moment. This move also hints at the Eagles' overall approach this season. They're not just relying on their star players or the usual starters. They're building a flexible, resilient roster that can adapt to whatever challenges come their way. Whether it's injuries, fatigue, or just the need for fresh energy, the Eagles seem to be staying ahead of the game by making smart, calculated moves. And let's not forget that this team has been on a trajectory of success over the past few seasons, reaching playoff after playoff, and even making a deep run to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. That kind of experience, combined with the aggressive roster management, is what keeps them in the conversation as one of the top teams in the NFC. Looking ahead, it's fascinating to think about how Seahawks might fit into the Eagles' defensive schemes. With the coaching staff emphasizing speed, agility, and relentless pressure on the quarterback, a player like Seahawks, who has shown he can contribute in multiple roles along the line, could be a valuable piece. He's also known for his work ethic and knack for creating pressure, which aligns perfectly with the Eagles' defensive philosophy. And considering the team's recent injury concerns along the defensive front, such as the absence of some key players, Seahawks' availability on the practice squad provides that extra layer of security that everyone is hoping they won't need to use, but will be thankful for if they do. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate what this all means for the season ahead. The Eagles are no strangers to making roster adjustments mid-season, and it's often these seemingly minor moves that turn out to be pivotal. They are constantly evaluating, always looking for ways to improve, and ensuring they have the right players in the right spots. This kind of roster management is one of the reasons why they've been so consistently competitive. And with a talented core led by Jalen Hurts, a dynamic offense, and that fierce defense that's always ready to strike, the Eagles are poised once again to be serious contenders. Of course, the NFC East is a highly competitive division, with teams like the Cowboys, Giants, and Washington always lurking, ready to challenge. But the Eagles' ability to adapt, to make smart moves like signing Seahawks and releasing Ricks, shows that they're not resting on their laurels. They're constantly recalibrating, constantly pushing for excellence, and that's what keeps fans excited, isn't it? Knowing that the team isn't just relying on past glories, but actively working to improve and stay ahead of the curve. It's a testament to the culture that Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni have cultivated over the past few seasons. So, what can we expect moving forward? Well, with the season just getting underway, we should keep a close eye on how Seahawks gets integrated into the defensive rotation. Will he be a game-day active? Will he see snaps on pass-rushing situations? Those are questions that will be answered in the coming weeks. But one thing is clear, the Eagles are serious about their goals, and they're not hesitating to make moves that could give them that extra edge. In the end, it's all about building that championship mindset, and every player, every move counts in the grand scheme of things. And now, Philadelphia Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this latest roster move? Do you see Seahawks making an immediate impact? Are you confident in the team's depth on the defensive line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Eagles. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Philadelphia Eagles news. Whether it's game analysis, player performances, or roster changes, we're here to keep you informed and engaged because being part of this passionate Eagles family means staying ahead of the game. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Birds.